Gears of War Judgment seemed like such a freaking cash-in when it was first announced last year. Like, hey, we can make another Gears of War game. We have all the assets. We know people love Marcus and Cole and Baird and Dom and all these guys, and so let's make another one before the next Xbox comes out. I'm sure it'll sell well. Well, the game was finally unveiled in a full fashion last night, and actually there is some cool stuff here. This is not just a, hey, throw something out there that people will buy. It's not an annualized retread of past things. I think they're actually taking some cool risks and making some genuine strides in the right direction. And as you'll see in the video here, you're going to see some single-player gameplay, some survival gameplay, a whole bunch of different things. But what has me most excited is actually the multiplayer side of things. So we'll start there. They have two new cooperative modes, Survival and Overrun. We'll start with my personal favorite, Survival, which is kind of the direct evolution of Horde mode. So no longer is there the Horde with the 50 waves, and you know, they added some of the defense mechanisms in Gears of War 3. Now it is a 10-wave onslaught of intensity, where it's class-based, and you're trying to defend 3 points. So after the first one falls, you fall back to point 2, fall back to the final point. If all three are destroyed, you lose. There are medics, there's engineers, there's assault. Class-based is kind of a brand new thing for Gears of War, but I think it fits nicely and adds to the cooperative feel of what already was a really fun mode. You know, Firefight from Halo Reach, or Halo ODST and Halo Reach, and Horde from Gears of War 2 and 3 are two of my favorite cooperative console experiences, and you know, Left 4 Dead is probably the third. Because they really encourage teamwork and they are great to play locally. You can get really mad at your brother or your friend for screwing something up, or you guys can high-five after a really epic and dangerous last-second survival. And survival is pitted as something that will challenge you to the max. Supposedly they had to be careful not to make it unbeatable, and I know that's some things that every developer says usually about some weird multiplayer mode, but really they're going 10 waves of hardcore insanity, and I think you'll see from the video that they're throwing a lot of big enemies at you right away. The other mode is called Overrun, and this one is a cooperative competitive mode facing off 5 cogs against 5 locusts. And then after you play one round, you will switch. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Left 4 Dead minus the maps, because again, this is objective-based, where there is a generator you are trying to protect if you're the cogs, and if you are the locust, you're trying to take it out. A lot of cool mechanics seem to emerge from people who've played the game in terms of like distracting away, you know, teammates so that you can open up a gap for one player to rush in and take down that generator if you are the locust. And again, of course, a very cooperative and team-based. I even heard the word MOBA thrown around, like League of Legends style. Cooperative class-based protection, defending of your precious generator. So I think both of those sound really exciting, and I like I said, I love Horde mode, and I think on one hand, like, it's really cool to have a mode that has 50 waves or something where you can survive for like this epic 3-hour, just perfect, beautiful, brilliant teamwork fest, and that feels really fun. Like, as you get to the higher waves, like, oh my god, we're going farther and farther, and could we get farther the next time? But there's also something to be said for a 10-wave short burst of awesomeness. You know, you can sit down and probably play this in an hour and either win or lose. I just don't know longevity-wise how that will pan out. Once I beat 10 waves of a map, am I going to be interested in going back? You know, yeah, if you assemble a different crew or maybe you try a different class or want to level up more, sure, that could be interesting. But I think there's definitely something really special about trying to progress. Okay, we got to wave 13, now wave 27, now wave 31, now wave 40. Okay, we beat it. Like, that seems a better progression. And maybe it'll be the same thing. Maybe you'll get to wave 5, wave 7, wave 10, and it'll just be a more bite-sized experience, which I'm all for. You know, more and more, I do not have 2, 3, 4 hours to sit down and just game it up all day. So a condensed yet intense best moments, almost a highlight reel of sorts, would be a very cool new kind of cooperative mode for Gears of War. Single player also, I thought had some really cool things. Now, I'm not the biggest Gears of War fan, I'll say that straight up. I think that single player wise, it's much more average than most people want it to be, or want to say that it is. You know, it's got great controls. The whole cog thing, locust thing, is kind of a cool story. At least it's not completely Ancient Aliens like every other series these days. But I think Gears of War, when it released on Xbox 360 at the beginning of this generation, was a far more impressive title that somehow carries a lot more bravado and a lot more fame than maybe it would had it been released 4 years later. Say they inducted or introduced Gears of War, the series, in 2010, 2011, 2012. I don't know that it would be as highly regarded as it, but that's whatever. That's what it is. It's this very prominent and powerful Microsoft franchise, and they have taken some steps to make single player a little more cool. You know, you're following Baird and Cole around. It's a prequel of sorts. And some of the new things that they've added are a star ranking system. So each section of the campaign, you will be ranked 1 to 3 stars. The way you increase those stars is by doing a good job, basically. But the cool part here is that those stars, you can unlock this Judgment campaign. This was something that was unveiled last night, and Judgment is the story of the other guys from Gears of War 3. So it's placed behind a star lock, so you have to get X number of stars to unlock. And I don't know if it's going to be something that you'll just naturally acquire no matter how good or bad you are at the campaign, or if you really will have to push for this during your time with the single player. But it is a couple-hour campaign that you'll unlock that takes place during the time period of Gears of War 3, which I thought was a really cool, almost DLC-type inclusion, but based on in-game rewards. I would love it if more games did this. Imagine Skyrim with Dragonborn unlocked via some in-game achievement. That would be so sweet. Imagine Fallout with another expansion unlocked via some in-game achievement. Imagine some Halo side story unlocked via some in-game. I think that's a really cool way to have a DLC-type edition, but that isn't based on how many dollars I have in my wallet, more based on how much I love the game. Too often developers and publishers place these really useless rewards. They gate them, oh, play for 100 hours and unlock this awesome concept art, or you get this new helmet. And I guess some of that cosmetic stuff or some of those extra really in-depth fan-based, lore-based stuff is cool, but I would love to see more tangible gameplay rewards. People will complain that, hey, it's locked behind this wall. That's stupid, sort of like fighting games sometimes get lambasted for not having every character open from the beginning. But as a hardcore gamer who loves to see more, yeah, give me a little chunk of something that I can feel proud that I unlocked. So they have that. Also, they have declassified versions of the mission. So when you begin a mission, you can choose if you want to play basically the harder version. Now, I found this kind of cool, kind of confusing. The one that they showed was you could add an extreme cloud of dust to the battle, which would make things far more crazy, far more obscured, and more difficult. I can't see an instance in which me and my friends playing through Gears of War co-op, or me and my brother say, hey, let's take the easy route and not put this dust in. We just want to take things basic. Why don't we keep the air clean, make sure we save our lungs, and pick these guys off one by one with our awesome guns? I think that it's a cool choice. I just don't know who's going to say no. You get more stars. There's probably achievements tied to it. It's kind of, it makes you feel like a wimp if you say no. Games these days are not that hard, and they made consistent effort to say, hey, we want to make a harder game, a more game for real Gears fans, blah, 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 which is great. But I can't see an instance in which you say, no, I don't. I mean, if it was just, hey, let's have more enemies spawn on screen, that's one thing. But if it's going to be cool environmental effects and cool things like that, I'm all for that, and I don't know why you'd ever say no. The last thing I want to mention that I do think is a very awesome evolution, although it's more technical, is the smart spawn system in single player. This may be something that you never recognize in the game, kind of a la Left 4 Dead's AI director, where if you're pushing forward, they will bring one kind of enemy at you. If you're holding back, they will bring a different kind of enemy at you. So it will smartly spawn maybe tickers if you're holding back to send off at you. If you rush them, maybe it'll spawn more aggressive close-range enemies, which I think is a very... It's not something that you'll recognize while you're playing, right? Because very few people are going to go and play this game 4 or 5 times in a row, the same sections over and over. And you might forget what you faced off at different points of the campaign, even if you are someone that repeats the single player. But in the instance that you're experiencing it, I don't know that you'll really know. It's just cool to think about in the back of your mind that, hey, the story is being adjusted to my playstyle and to my experience of the game. So my personal Gears of War Judgment story will be a little bit different than someone else's depending on how they play. So, if you're someone that likes to stop and pop and cover a lot, your enemies will be catered basically to make that harder for you. If you're someone that rushes, they will make it more difficult for you as well. I don't know how this factors into the actual dialogue on screen from the characters. So if you choose one of these declassified missions, they talk different. It looks as if they then say, well, there was this huge cloud of dust and it really got scary. But if you don't, then what? Then they're just happy and talk about flowers? I don't know. But both those things, the declassified and the smart spawn system, I think are cool enhancements and make me very excited for what they can do with shooters on the 720. I know the FPS genre is something that has gotten definitely just overdone, it's overplayed, but with increased tech, both graphically and horsepower-wise, I'm excited to see if they can push these kind of games in both the PlayStation 4 and the next Xbox into new and uncharted territories. That is Gears of War Judgment. I am now on board with this game, excited to pick it up and play, if for nothing else than the cool new multiplayer modes, Overrun and Survival, that I think will be a lot of fun. Co-op is kind of it's still a hard thing to nail. It's rare that you find a great co-op game, even towards the end of this generation, so I will gladly accept a new one if it's fun. Look for more coverage as that game nears release and releases later this month. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Gears of War Judgment, what you thought of the coverage, what you think of these videos, and what you think about the different things we covered: Overrun, Survival, Smart Spawn, Declassified, the unlockable Judgment campaign. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Girls, have a fantastic day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, we will see you all later.